Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a good day today, as per usual. And today I figured I would talk about, not about Swedish, not about languages in general, but something more philosophical today. And I figured a lot of people have been talking about the so-called red pill society lately, or it's been a topic that's been swirling around the internet for at least for the last about 4 years or something like that. And especially some of you who know Andrew Tate or Sneeko or some of those people, you might have encountered their content, their podcasts, their views, and it's pretty divided. Some support him, some hate him. And it's not just Andrew Tate who's the main red pill guy, it's also other people, other influencers who have joined in later on, but he was kind of the first one to really, put the word out with regards to masculinity, with regards to the whole manosphere, the gender roles, the relationships, feminism, and so on and so forth. And like I said again, I don't want to really get too political in this video. I'm not really here to discuss deep politics as much as possible. I just want to kind of explain or to kind of have a critical commentary on the Red Pill Society as a whole. And before I even continue this video, I'm not fully against the Red Pill Society, or I'm not really like 100% critical of it. I just want to point out a few things that are not really in my view, that I don't really agree with some of the things that they say. And I'm no way, against it 100%. I'm not for it 100%. I'm just here to kind of critically analyze the situation, as with every other philosophical concept, quite frankly speaking. So at first, I really want to start off with the definition. As a lot of people already know how I start my videos, I like to first give my definition of the red pill, or the definition of that topic that I'm presenting today, and then I'll continue with the further evaluations of the topic. So the definition of the red pill is basically, if you've ever watched the movie Matrix, there's a character who is called Neo. Neo has to choose two pills. I really don't want to spoil, but I think most of you have already watched the movie, but just for clarification, Neo has to choose two pills, the red pill or the blue pill. The red pill basically means that you would be awakened to truth that goes against the conventional wisdom, and the blue pill means that you would choose ignorance and delusion. So if you choose the blue pill, you will continue to live your life the way it is. You wouldn't really know the deeper truths of certain things, of the government, of the banking systems, and so on and so forth. If you choose the red pill, then you will be awakened, but you will also have a lot of problems and consequences, and you would go against the mass, so to speak. And this is kind of the thing that influenced like people like Andrew Tate, for example. They preach a lot about this, they talk a lot about this movie, and they kind of try to translate or convert this into the modern world that we live in today. And this is something that has been, like I said, swirling the internet for quite some time now, and this has caused a lot of either massive support or massive hatred towards people like Andrew Tate. And a lot of people in the red pill society, as they call it, they believe that the current system, the current society that we have right now is no longer traditional, has no longer traditional values and norms, that has gone full out liberal, that has gone out communist, and people like women are no longer traditional, they're no longer at home, they don't cook, they don't clean, like these kind of things. And this is something what would upset a lot of red pill people, so to speak. And however, there are a few things that I really don't agree with the red pill society. And you can leave out all the traditional masculinity and all this stuff, and people say that a lot of red pill people are toxic. Toxic masculinity is a very prominent word. I'm sure some of you have heard of that. And first of all, what is exactly toxic masculinity? Because I feel like oftentimes whenever people start to discuss toxic masculinity, they always refer to men who are just simply traditional, who actually want to provide or want to uh, do the best for the woman, do the best for society, and be strong, be healthy, be fit, and all these things like that. Now, of course, there are also cases. Now, this is what I'm gonna get into. There are also cases where a lot of men take things too far, and of course, with everything else, you need to have balance. You need to have some form of, understanding that the world is not the way it used to work 500 years ago, or even more, and that people have to evolve in some shape or form. And oftentimes, what besides the whole traditional values and norms, what people often mean, I would assume, when they say, oh, this guy is a toxic guy, or this is toxic masculinity, people mean oftentimes like the man starts to abuse the woman physically or verbally. The man starts to really mishandle the person, the woman, especially in the relationship. The man starts to act in a bad way. But this is not really, is it like intrinsically toxic masculinity? I think this is more just an individual person problem, I would say. I wouldn't even really assign it to any gender to that matter. I mean, essentially, what about toxic femininity? Does this thing exist too? I mean, because we talk about toxic masculinity all the time, but we don't talk about toxic femininity, because I'm pretty sure if you want to actually start to go down that rabbit hole, you would actually have toxic femininity as well, because there are a lot of women who are also toxic. But would you really want to assign it to a specific gender and just generalize the whole thing? Well, I don't think that's a wise idea to begin with. And ironically, when you see people like Andrew Tate and Sneeko and what's it, like Fresh for Fit or some podcast guys who talk about all these things, they oftentimes talk about that the man has to make a lot of money, the man has to be fit, the man has to be this and that, X, Y, and Z. While I agree with most of the things they say, you have to be fit, you have to have a good job, you have to make good money, you have to try to put yourself in a position where you can provide for your family, and I do believe in that for sure. But then it really starts to become ugly when they start discussing subjects about like monogamy and polygamy and having like polygamous relationships. Andrew Tate or some of those influencers, they were talking about how you would have to, like, essentially the man has a intrinsic desire to date multiple women at once. And as for example, he pointed out, or a lot of red pill influencers point out, that in many cultures, in many religions, especially like Islam, for example, or it used to be Christianity maybe sometimes, although correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I think Christianity actually is a monogamous religion. Well, it is a monogamous religion essentially, but maybe in the early stages of Christianity, maybe it wasn't. Don't remember exactly on that, but either ways, regardless, Christians still had like polygamous relationships, because kings had multiple wives and warriors had multiple wives. And the point was kind of that the man intrinsically or inherently, he is not loyal to only one woman. He's not satisfied with only one woman, and that he needs to spread his seed, so to speak. He needs to create, or basically multiply and have multiple kids as much as possible to spread his gene, to continue his legacy, so to speak. And biologically speaking, I can understand that, but at the same time, we also live in this age and point where we can't really afford like having 10 different wives and 10 different kids at the same time. Maybe if you're super ultra rich, then yeah, sure. But when they start talking about things like that, I really feel like they start to mislead a lot of things. They start to put ideas into many men in particular, and they start to give them this kind of, I don't want to call it illusion, but maybe it is illusion, that you have to start looking for multiple wives, and that it's not okay to just have one wife and 3 kids or whatever it may be, like the standard, like the normal Christian standard norms may say or promote. And also, I feel like a lot of red pill influencers put a lot of emphasis on making hordes of money. And money is an issue, or money is a topic that I also want to discuss in this video, because I find it important to understand that making money is also a good thing. I'm not blaming those people who say that you have to make money. I mean, we all want to make money and it's important, and you want to be rich and all of that. But I feel like the moment you start putting too much emphasis on making money, the moment you start to place the value of making money so much, then you start losing other things as well along the way. And I feel like what is more important is actually simply being a good man, simply putting your masculinity at the forefront, making sure that you are a gentleman, that you respect your woman, that you take care of your children, that you are a good man. I think that should be the prime focus. If you want to be a Red Pill Society member, I think you have to kind of get away from all these materialistic views that a lot of people preach in that society, and actually put more if you want to be like, from talking from the religion, from the Red Pill Society perspective, I would probably put masculinity at the forefront. I would put biblical teachings at the forefront. I would also maybe encourage people to understand the feminine side as well, because I also feel like this is another point I also want to mention, is that I feel like the Red Pill Society is also a place where men who cannot find a woman, who cannot have a successful dating relationship, they start to blame women on many different things. Oh, they're feminist. Oh, they're incredibly liberal. They're this and that. While true, there might be, idiots, there might be, liberals and communists and whatever you can expect from women, that they're this and that and they're not traditional. Yes, it's true, but at the same time, not every woman is like that, and it's certainly not the whole world, because it's mostly predominantly, I would say, a lot of women who are liberal are more in the Western hemisphere of the world, or in the Western world in general. I mean, if you actually want to find a traditional woman, then go to Afghanistan or go to some other eastern part of the world where you actually have traditional women who will actually treat you as a traditional person. So, you actually want to go down that route, or you want to, try to find something in between. So it also creates a little bit of a toxic sphere, like a toxic atmosphere, when you start just putting the complete blame on the woman and blaming the woman nonstop and saying that she's this and that. What about you as a man? What are you actually offering to the woman? What are you putting on the table? So I feel like the Red Pill Society is like with any other society, with any other group. It has its positives and negatives. It's also a prime reaction to what is going on in the current world. So don't get me wrong, the reason why this whole Red Pill Society, why all the Andrew Tates have come up, it's not because, everything was good and then suddenly those guys popped up like that out of the blue. There's always a reaction in the world. Whenever something happens, there's always a reactionary force, so to speak. And the reason why this has appeared, or why this has happened, is because the world has gone nuts. The world has gone completely bananas. And when you have soy boys, when you have beta males in this world, especially in the Western world, then of course you're going to have people like Andrew Tate who are going to pop up and are going to try to tell you, hey, no, this is not the way it goes. And as with everything else in the market, everything equalizes in the end. So if you have one side that is very dominant, then the other side is going to try to swing the pendulum one way or another. And this is what you get in the end. And you have two extremes, let's say, and the guys in the middle like me are like, well, I don't really agree with any of you. I just want to be a good man. I want to be a good person. I understand both sides, but I'm not gonna take the either extreme side really to begin with. And unfortunately, the internet is always exploding with all sorts of radical viewpoints. And now I'm not saying that the Red Pill Society is completely 100% radical, but there are also some radical moments as well. Just like on the other side, there are also radical moments, and that is my critical commentary on the Red Pill Society. If you guys have any questions or remarks, you guys can always feel free to put them in the comment section down below. And I hope you subscribe and share this video with many other people, with your friends and loved ones. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.